villages and ancient weapons. Match for a good blaster at your side.
Welcome to Hokey Religion, the Star Wars podcast. This episode, we're going to talk about episode 9 and whatever the hell else we think of. This is Tyler.
This is Michael.
Welcome back to episode 78.
Hello.
So, Michael, next week, as of recording, as of the release of this episode, this week is our anniversary of the podcast.
Oh, okay.
Not of our secret
Not
marriage.
the other anniversary. Oh, really? How long have we been around?
That's
too
many.
That's classified information.
Too many years.
When were we on?
Do you not even know? Do you not know when we started this?
I don't remember. I'm looking at the thing now.
It
doesn't say.
This would be year 3, would it not?
I don't know.
Probably should have looked this up before I randomly mentioned it off the top of my head.
3 years? We've
It
been
has
doing
to
this
be.
thing for 3 years?
It has to have been 3 years.
Oh, when's the end?
No. Yes, 15.
Yeah,
August
2015.
22nd, 2015 was our first episode.
What?
What have we done?
Why?
Yeah, so 3 years of this
What's the end game?
monstrosity.
What's the end game here? Are we done?
You just, with hope in your eyes.
Don't crush this. This is all I have.
The
hope that this will end one day.
Yeah. No, it's the end game is bringing joy to children everywhere.
Oh, okay.
Much like Santa Claus, our podcast is about
Children.
joy and mostly children sneaking into their homes while they sleep.
That's we do the same thing.
This is gonna get our foot in the door.
Yep. Is that our end game? Is to get our foot in the door of Santa?
Yeah, we're slow campaign to take over his whole thing.
Oh, not just a job.
Not just the job.
We're aiming higher than that.
Oh yeah,
Take over the whole operation.
the poll will be ours. No,
What?
there was no end game. There was barely a game to begin with, Michael. It's just this.
I'm not
This
familiar
forever.
with Santa lore. These poles you speak of.
The North? The pole of the North?
Oh, that one.
Yeah. You know, where his fortress lies.
It's child prison.
Yeah, basically. All right.
Oh, boy.
After 3 years, it's still sometimes about Star Wars. Well,
Hey, guess what?
what now?
Oh, did I talk about this already?
I don't know.
That Jean-Luc Picard is coming back.
Pretty sure you mentioned that at some point.
Not on
Probably
the
not on the
podcast.
podcast. I've heard it multiple times from you, so I'm tired.
I'm
of it.
excited. I'm so excited to talk about Star Trek on this podcast,
Yep.
the Star Wars one.
So, this is just because I know nothing about Star Trek. other
Tell me,
than
what do
watching
you
a
think
few
Star Trek is
episodes.
about?
So, there's a throne made out of swords,
Hmm.
and there's a wall with white people that are snow zombies.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm right. That's all good. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So no, Star
Yeah.
Trek.
Yeah.
This will be the first time that Star Trek has ever
Yeah.
continued something from a previous series, right?
Huh?
Like each
It's
Star
all
Trek,
been one-
each Star Trek series is its own entity that is not
Yeah, I guess. They make references to
directly related to the previous series.
not necessarily. Well, I guess Deep Space Nine is kind of directly related to TNG. Because they go there a couple times in TNG, and their transporter chief, O'Brien, works there, gets transferred there or something like that.
But continuing the story of the same character or something like that from a series, this is the first time.
Yes. Yeah, this is the first time they've... Well, I mean, if you count, these new Star Trek movies going back, and
Well,
now there's the
that's-
new timeline.
That's rebooting everything.
This is the Fast and Furious timeline.
Yeah. Where the Beastie Boys destroy the
Is it the
alien
same
ships.
song every movie? Do they use the same song, or is it
Sabotage
just
every time?
Yeah, it feels like it's always the same song, right?
Just are you referencing the movies or just Beastie Boys in general? Each time a Beastie Boys song plays, it just sounds like the same one.
Oh, well, I was talking about the movies using the same song.
I don't think it's the same
Like
one.
when he's driving when tiny little Captain Kirk is driving that car in the first movie, it's Sabotage, isn't it?
I don't.
Isn't it? And then they play Sabotage
I
again
have no idea.
for one of them.
It's the only cassette he has left from the days
Who, JJ?
past. No. Sure. Yeah.
He just keeps putting it in there.
It's the only MP3 he has on his busted iPod.
Anyway, Jean-Luc Picard is coming back. Patrick Stewart is coming back to play him in a series set 20 years after the movie Star Trek Nemesis. So this is going to be an old Picard. And I've been...
Cool. None of this means anything to me.
My
I
son.
mean, he's good. I like that one.
Who?
John.
Jean-Luc.
Yeah, the actor.
Okay. Oh, not... Okay. What was I going to say?
I have no idea.
I've been rewatching TNG, and there's a lot of episodes...
You send me videos and clips of
Oh,
stuff,
yeah.
and it looks like the most ridiculous show ever.
It's pretty stupid. I went back and watched... So I've never watched the first season. Some people know what I'm talking about. You have no idea what that means.
No, I know what a season of a television show is.
No,
I'm on
yeah.
track so far.
It's a really bad one.
Just a bad season.
I went back and watched. So I skipped it originally. I've watched TNG a bunch of times, and I always skip the first season because
Just because it's so bad.
it's just hilariously bad. But I had never seen that for myself. I had only heard about it. I went back and watched a couple episodes from the first season recently, and oh my goodness, it's bad.
Are these the videos you're sending me, or the first season?
No,
Oh,
those are
Uh-oh.
later seasons.
Oh no. Oh,
No, the first season is Riker without a goatee. That's usually like the sign that it's going to be a bad episode if Riker doesn't have his goatee.
okay. Oh,
You have no idea what I'm talking about.
I know he
You don't
has a
know any-
goatee,
Okay.
and he steps over chairs
Huh?
to sit down. Isn't that him?
What? Who
Isn't
does
that Riker
that?
that like steps over a chair to sit down in it?
Does he?
I've only heard the references,
Okay. I
from
mean, I
pop
guess
culture references of him like stepping over a chair to sit in it.
I guess he does that sometimes.
He like
but-
swings his leg all the way over the chair and then sits down.
Those are high back chairs, though. How is he doing that? This is like a well-known thing.
I think it's Riker. I could be wrong.
Are you thinking of a different movie? Are you thinking of High School Musical?
Oh, that's right. Zac Efron.
Zach Gaffron.
Zac
Zach
Efron.
Gaffron.
That's the only name I could pull out of any pocket that references that movie.
Look, children, it's Zach Gaffron.
Zag. Hey. All right.
Zach is totally a name that would be in that movie, right?
Sure. Just
You
like
got-
Chad or.
You got Zag and Langus.
You're thinking of Xenon.
Aer Langus.
Yeah, oh, yeah. You know. The man who invented flight to Ireland.
Aer Langus. Okay,
All right.
what are we doing?
We're talking about stuff that neither of us have a full frame of reference to discuss together.
That's this whole show.
Yeah, pretty much.
The whole show is us not knowing what's going on.
So, the Star Wars Resistance teaser plopped on out onto the internet today. Can you hear that excitement? And I didn't think it was as bad as you did.
It's bad.
You did not enjoy it. Why?
No, I told you. With every second that passed by and every terrible quip,
Yeah.
it just my hopes just fell.
Well,
It's bad. It's really bad.
I really like the art style. I think it's cool. Like we talked about before, almost anime-esque, the new like anime style-ish. The ship designs and all that. The design of everything looked really awesome.
Okay, I mean it doesn't mean it's going to
It
be a
looks
good
cool.
show.
I mean, it's a teaser for a show. So I mean, what are you expecting out of it other than like ha explosion, quip, he, ho, po? I mean, what do you want out of it?
That's Oscar Isaac, right?
Yeah,
They're all coming back to
Gwendolyn
do their
Christie and Oscar Isaac are all doing their voices.
and BB-8
Yeah,
is
and
coming back.
the boops and bops are there.
Ben Schwartz.
I mean, they already got him on the hook for DuckTales.
Oh.
I guess he's around if they need him to boop or beep every once in a while.
Is that how that works? Every company that makes a cartoon, they just have a big place that you go to, and everyone's just in one room, and they're all recording their various shows.
I was thinking of just one room just waiting to be needed.
No,
Like they just have a room of voice
think of
actors,
a warehouse.
Like, we need you. Come on.
Think of a warehouse, and along every wall is a microphone.
Yeah.
And you just go up to it's like a convention. There's a little sign, a little
You
plastic
just sit and
laminated
wait till they
sign.
need something from you.
It's a little plastic laminated sign, and you just go up to your mic and you do your lines.
Yeah.
And then you go eat a
We're gonna
frozen
need you to be
pizza.
here all day Tuesday. We might need a beep. You go sit in your booth and wait.
and go.
Boop. I don't know. Oh, perfect. All
Thanks,
right.
we got it.
We probably don't need any more, but hang around for the rest of the day.
Mr. Schwartz, over here, please.
So, I mean, it's a teaser, so it's going to be all like explosion, quip, spaceship,
Mhm.
quip, quip, quip. Oscar Isaac, quip.
All right. Well,
It seemed like a Disney show. It
Okay.
didn't seem any worse than Rebels.
okay. Well, that's your opinion.
From a
It's okay
teaser.
to be wrong. I understand.
You're already
It's-
saying it's worse than Rebels, like most of the internet is.
Oh no! Everyone else is saying it too.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I need to change my opinion.
Oh, it's amazing. I mean, first off, teaser.
I
so
will
give it a
watch it.
chance.
I'm not. Well, yeah. I'm not gonna. It's
Just
not
like you gave Rebels a chance and you found out, it wasn't just
by
a
experience.
It wasn't just a thin layer of bad.
No, the shit
It went deep.
comes out of the television. It seeps into your carpet.
I still think the idea is great, and the fact that they've said that Dave Filoni is going to have a more hands-off involvement in the show.
Oh, that wasn't a joke. I thought that was
No,
a
no,
joke.
no. He's supposedly going to have a more hands-off. Like he created it, but that's kind of supposedly where it ends. So there's hope.
Well, I mean,
Sounds bad,
that
but-
could be good, but who knows? Maybe we'll find out. Yeah, without his
Storylines will happen.
loving,
Arcs will exist.
soft cowboy beheaded hand, that it will end up being bad.
There will inevitably, there may not be any other prequel characters appearing or regular characters appearing.
A prequel character in this show?
I don't know. I'm just like in anything, just any of his shows with random,
Oh,
you know.
yeah, it's the
Ahsoka.
shoehorn. It's the old Dave shoehorn
Ahsoka's a prequel.
Filoni.
Ahsoka is a prequel character. If you think about it.
It's his character,
Yeah,
so not really.
I guess, but she's prequel era. I'm just saying, like, it could just be these people. Like, they could just be.
Did Jar Jar ever show up in Rebels? No, right? He showed up in Clone
I don't know
Wars.
if I watched enough to say that for certain.
You saw the Jar Jar Clone Wars episode, right?
Oh yeah,
There were a couple of them, weren't there?
yes, he was around.
Okay.
Being all senator-y, screwing up the universe.
Sinister?
Senator.
Senator-y.
Senator.
He's a senator.
Yeah, you know, horse body, that whole thing.
Okay.
It
Anyway,
better be good. No.
it better be good.
I do find
We
it
deserve
interesting. So
something.
it's on actual Disney Channel, not Disney XD, right?
Mhm.
So Disney XD is for like the older younger kids, right? And then Disney Channel is
What?
So you have Disney Junior, Disney XD, and Disney Channel,
Okay, yeah.
and the ages step up. So Disney XD is for like the
Preteens.
preteens, whereas Disney Channel has like some of the teenage shows with real people on them. Like, that's where some of the older kids shows are. They all suck, but that's where they exist, right? So this is gonna be on Disney Channel. So
I'm a high school wizard. Shows like that.
I would not be able to disprove that if that's on that channel. There's literally no way to tell if that's real. But being on Disney Channel means it could have a more older crowd tone or storyline.
Uh-oh.
right?
How old?
62.
Oh.
Very old. Well, it's going for the World War II fighter plane thing, so I'm assuming it's just going to get very, very. It's really going to appeal to that veteran crowd.
The World War II veteran crowd?
Yep.
You think they're watching the Disney Channel a lot?
Well, if the nursing home doesn't change the channel, that's what's on.
That's
But I'm
Disney's
saying it's
promise
on-
to you
it's
is
on-
they'll come into every nursing home and switch it to Disney Channel.
But if it's on Disney Channel, I would say it would have a more of an opportunity to skew older than Disney XD.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe there's a saving grace there. But it
I don't
comes
know.
out October 7th at 10 p.m. Eastern on Disney Channel.
Disney is
Whatever intro, whatever interlude music they have whenever they give commercials.
Hi, my name is Aisha Farts a lot, and you're watching Disney Channel.
Perfect Mickey ears outline.
I don't know. I forget what I was going to say.
You don't care anymore.
I was going to say something, and I can't remember.
Well, October's pretty soon.
That's
and-
when you be quiet, Michael. That's when you don't say anything, and you don't mention that you had nothing to say. Because now you're talking about having nothing to
I just want
say.
it to be heard. Well, October 7th, 10 p.m. Fingers crossed.
That it happens then?
No, that it'll be fantastic.
October 7th, fingers crossed.
Hope we make it.
I hope I'm still alive.
Yep. So, everything else that has happened in the world since then.
Oh, dear.
Since last episode.
A lot of things have happened in the world.
Well. So, in Apocalypse Now, was it napalm?
Or was it creamsicles?
Definitely those. Episode 9 has had all of the spewing of rumors and
But all the rumors are basically actor shows up to set.
right.
Is it Ray's mother? That's every rumor right now.
She's a female on set. Is she Ray's mom? 10 reasons why we think so. She's a female. Breasts.
One breast, two breasts,
Older than Ray.
legs, two of them.
Oh. She's not a space pirate. All right. It can mean only one thing. She's a mother. But yeah, like that headline I showed you, it was like Dom Hall Gleason talks about JJ's return, and in it, all it said was that Dom Hall Gleason said that it was epic. That was like the only quote was the word epic in quotation marks.
That's it, really?
That's the only thing in that entire
Not
article.
even it was epic, just epic.
No,
Was
like,
the quote pull.
like when asked about JJ's return, Dom Hall Gleason said it was, comma, quotation mark, epic, quotation mark. And that was the only thing in that entire article that he actually said and was a quote from him.
That feels like they got him coming out of the bathroom or something. Mr. Gleason, can you please give us a quote about the new Star Wars movie?
Epic!
Hey!
Right. He rolls away backwards on his heelys. I don't know why that's what I pictured.
Why did he take those in the bathroom with him? That's kind of weird.
Just roll into the stall and you roll out. You don't have to stop. You just roll by the row of urinals and hope you hit all of them. And then you just make a U-turn and right back out. You've never had a Healy drive by at a urinal wall?
Can't say that I have.
Well, you're missing out.
Apparently.
Hopefully no one else is in there already using them, because there's no stopping once you get those Heelys going.
I'm so sorry. I'm just used to doing this every day.
I can't stop. I'm sorry. Oh no, I can't. You're just rolling into it in circles. Yeah. So yeah, those are the rumors that are happening, and the actors talking out about stuff, and it's just they're like, we're in a movie. So thank you, internet, and your fantastic journalism. But I think there are some decent rumors that spurn conversation, that spur on the
Well,
discussion.
That's two different things.
Yeah, that's why.
Spurn conversation is what we do on this show.
That's true.
Spurring on people.
So yeah, so like we were talking about just Ray's mom.
That's for the podcast with sponsors.
Yeah,
Does anyone want to sponsor us?
we're open to it.
Hey,
Just let us know.
people out there, does anyone want to sponsor?
Do you own a store or product? Contact us at asklobot@hokireligion.com.
We will advertise your
We'll
store or
mention
product.
you at least once. Guaranteed.
Yep.
So
I mean, it'd be nice if you could send us your store and or product so we could try it before we advertise it. But
send your store.
yeah, I want
on
to know.
over.
Does anybody out there want to sponsor?
That's never gonna happen. So like we were talking about beforehand, there's a rumored scene between Adam Driver and Keri
And Ray's
Russell.
mother.
who can only be a mother. There's the rumored scene of that they're shooting together, where apparently it's a big action.
They're
sequence.
shitting together.
Well, what else? Where they're apparently there's it's a big action scene where they're fighting, and there's some new ship set pieces and stuff like that. And the whole article is
See?
talking about how there's this rumor of a scene with they're shooting together, and there's new set pieces, and she was picked for this scene, and there's a big fight sequence, and after all this rumor has come out, the consensus is that she's Ray's mom. Like, at what point did any of that conversation, at what point did any of that scene that's
See?
happening have to do with her being anyone's mother?
See? I don't understand why also. Yeah, every rumor's like. Actor shows up and a green screen is involved, and there could possibly be some stunts and cameras and lighting.
Breaking news.
Lighting on set. Star Wars Episode 9 will be lit and filmed.
The rumor, we've received rumor that the camera has film in it. Unsure yet if digital or physical.
Breaking news, Star Wars Episode 9 has film. You just go.
Waiting for anything to happen. Rumor they're shooting scenes at Cardington Sheds.
More as the
A
story
place
develops.
they've used for every other Star Wars movie, but the rumor is they're shooting more scenes there.
More as the story develops.
Could it be this place is a soundstage?
He's at
More to come.
He's at the movie, watching the movie. Breaking news. Kylo Ren shows up in Star Wars Episode 9 for the first time. More as this develops.
Would you shut up? Shh. Right, that's half of what all of these rumors that are happening are. Is just two actors in the same movie are acting together, and one of them is a woman. It's Ray's mom. That's how most of the articles end, or anything with Keri Russell is it has to be Ray's mom because she's a woman in a film.
And then the headline is like, Kylo Ren to shoot extended scenes in Star Wars Episode 9?
It never
Adam
ceases
Driver.
to amaze me.
Whatever.
Every time this happens. Either we're getting more is it getting worse, or is it just we forget how crappy it is every time?
Well, it's just crappy right now because nothing's happened, but everyone wants news.
Everyone wants news, so they're just making up
Yeah.
anything they can.
It's called false news. I heard that somewhere.
Oh yes, the
The false
falsification
news.
of news.
Falsification of newsification.
There are some rumors that aren't total bullshit. Like the rumor that Episode 9 is going to possibly be the longest Star Wars movie, even longer than Last Jedi, which would be real damn long since Last Jedi was 2.5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Then that rumor continues to say it's possible that the movie will be split in two. Not like the physical film. It's all shit! Oh, you split my movie in twain!
It's not
Remake it!
It's not like they took the movie and edited it in half. It's like they literally cut all the frames in half. So it's just half of a frame the
So
whole
you
time.
have both movies happening at the same time. Half the screen is the first half, and half the screen is the second half.
Yes.
Okay, I see.
One place from the beginning and the other place from the end.
So they meet in the middle.
So they meet in the middle. And eventually you end up in the same scene in the middle.
Perfect.
The end.
I'm sure that's happened with some art house film somewhere.
Mm.
But no, the rumor that it's going to be broken into two films, a
Hobbit
la
style.
Harry Potter.
Well, that was 9.
Well,
That's more than 2. Science proves that 9 is more than 2. I made that joke last time, didn't I?
Probably. I don't know how I feel about that idea of
Two
episode
movies?
9 being broken into 2 movies, because it's not a Star Wars thing to do. I mean, there's no precedence for it, but I mean, we've had
I like the
8
idea.
movies, so I guess it's possible, but they're supposed to be trilogies, right? There's this prequel trilogy, the original trilogy, and the sequel trilogy is what this is called.
Yeah.
So, I mean, technically, I guess it would still be a trilogy if it's part 1 and part 2 of a movie, but it feels overboard to break it into 2 different movies.
I don't know. I like it. If
it needs to be, I guess.
If we're not waiting like a year in between movies, then yeah. If you have to tell a story that is not going to fit into 2 hours or 2.5 hours or whatever it is, then yeah, break it up. I would rather that happen than have to have a compressed
jam a movie together.
Yeah, compressed movie that feels like it's rushed.
I mean, yeah, but I don't know. It feels wrong. I don't know. It feels wrong for there to be extra movies.
Just because there's no precedent for that, you're saying? No precedent in Star Wars, not...
Right, yeah. But, I mean, obviously, I don't know. It's a trilogy. So breaking it up seems weird.
Yeah.
I mean, if Lord of the Rings can make a trilogy of films and have them be like 3.5 hours long, then just make a long movie. Like if it's 3 hours, fine. Like you can fit in the story in 3 hours.
That's different. That's like I mean, you've got literature nerds going to those movies.
Well, yeah.
You know, this is different. These are now.
It just feels like it's dragging. It feels like it's dragging
movies.
It out when we know they have so much other stuff planned, film-wise, that I don't know. They're just dragging out the inevitable of this ending the Skywalker saga. I don't know. It doesn't feel.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. I see.
It feels like an unnecessary drag out to having the completion, having it finalized, and
like they don't have to say, "Oh, okay, well that's that. Time to move on." Like they don't have to.
They let the first one come out, see what people complain about, and then I don't know, fix it.
I don't know. Like I said, if it means we're not going to get a compressed, rushed movie, then yeah, I'm all for it. But
I don't personally want it to happen.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I think it all depends on what the story they're trying to tell is going to be. You know,
Rey's mom doing stuff all the time. Apparently, it's all Rey's mom all the time.
I feel like if it was like a studio decision or a Lucasfilm decision to drag it out for money reasons, to prolong it for, so they could have 2 different waves of merch and all the promotion and media, all that stuff that goes around a movie release. If they just want to do that more to make more money, I feel like this decision wouldn't be rumored this early. Yeah. If it really was a story decision, like, there's a giant script that has to be filmed, then you would end up hearing this rumor early like we are now.
Yeah.
That's what
possible. And the rumored...
Well, anything's possible.
I guess. I mean, all of this is just conjecture. It's all bullshit. We're just making up stuff to talk about just as much as anyone else.
As all the all these link.
This is the stuff you and I talk
articles.
about, whether we're talking about it on here or not.
Yeah.
Like the rumored title for episode 9 being A New Order. Which I like. Episode 9, A New Order.
A New Order.
Because it kind of leaves it open to both sides, to any possibility. I don't know.
New Jedi Order, new First Order. That'd be the Second Order. Yeah. The Second Order.
I don't know. I got nothing for that. Sorry. My brain broke instantly. So, yeah, 2 movies.
Man, we shouldn't have started talking about how long we've been doing this.
No, it
broke my brain.
I just feel old all of a sudden. Just everything's like, all that energy, all that time and energy wasted.
Wasted away.
Speaking of
Not just. What did he say? What was the quote? I went to quote Anakin. I totally forgot the quote.
which one?
Not just the Tusken Raider quote.
Oh,
Not just the what, but the women.
women, and
And
children too.
too.
They're animals. So I slaughter them like animals.
I slaughtered like animals. What does he say? Not.
Not just the men, but
He
the
says
women.
men?
I think so.
Half remembered quotes with Tyler and Michael.
So speaking of the first and/or second order, there are more rumors of scenes being shot with actors from the film. Again at Cardington Sheds.
That is men.
What?
Men.
Men? Yeah. Yay, men!
Hooray, men!
So there's a rumor that there's a rumor that Kylo Ren is shooting more scenes for the Star Wars movie
Hooray, men!
with a lot of men. You're right, Michael. Good job. With a lot of martial arts
Men.
and from the rumors, it would lean toward being the Knights of the Knights of Ren. I almost said the Knights of Men, which has got to be a thing. The Knights of Ren, and with the story part of it, rumored is that Kylo is hunting down Force sensitives at this point in the film.
I read that rumor too, and that part of it just feels like, is it Rey's mom? Who knows?
right.
Like that kind of just
No, but
guessing.
So we've talked about the possible return of the Knights of Ren.
Yeah.
But like something might be happening. Could it possibly be this random thing that I just shat out?
Right, exactly.
But
And then that's the thing that
the
everybody
thing that was
repeats.
shat out was interesting to me in that. So there's rumored that it's going to be a time jump, right?
Yeah.
And we've talked about it being a time jump to episode 9.
Yeah.
And at the end of episode 8, we've got Broom Hilda, Broom Boy. I cannot for the life of me remember his name. Tad Jerkin. I don't remember.
Just a tad jerkin over here.
I wasn't doing nothing. I was just a tad of jerkin.
Just a tad of jerkin, Paul.
So we
Toward a whole barrel of jerkin, just a tad.
So at the end of 8, we had this revelation that there are more Force sensitive people, right? The Force is for everybody, even little broom men.
Men.
And
Tamiri Blag.
that's it. Tad was close, like almost there.
It was both of those put together.
Right. So there's these. We were introduced to be like, look, there's Force sensitive people all around us. But I never really had the thought that Kylo Ren could or would even start hunting them down, because that is totally something he would do.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Not
only is
with
that-
the time jump, it could be something that he has now started doing since losing track of the Resistance or whatever they've done to get away.
Yeah, true. Not only is that echoing Vader, but that's
Right.
It plays into his whole insecure bit. You know, like
Yes.
he has to be the only one around, and
I'm
I'm
the
the
Force boy.
shit.
I'm the one who wins.
right. Yeah.
Which,
Yeah, that's interesting.
yeah, I mean, it ties back to the whole, like you said, Vader thing and killing the younglings, and I imagine we'll
Man,
get
the more-
stuff like that.
The more I think about the title being a new order, that I really like that. That works on so many levels.
Right. Yeah, because just as from the vagueness of it,
Yeah.
it's perfect.
Just
And
like
from,
Last
the-
Jedi.
right. It's that perfect, like, vague Star Wars title.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's even though it seemed from the article, it seemed like a totally just shat out of nowhere, like, oh, he's hunting down Force sensitives. And I'm like, as I was thinking about it, I was like, that's actually not a bad idea.
Yeah.
If that's even whether it's a valid rumor or not, that totally makes sense for Kylo's character.
So do you think?
And for the Knights of Ren to come back into play, to be hunting down, almost like the Inquisitors,
Yeah.
hunting down Force sensitives.
Right. So do you think let's say that is true, and that's he is, that's what's going to happen in this movie. Do you think there is an order established at this point, or
No.
that Rey is with other Force sensitive people? Like, do you think there's a collective, like a temple, like what Luke had? Or
I don't think so.
Let's not even say a temple. Let's just say a collective of people
that
have
they've also
gathered
been
around
hunting
Rey.
down Force sensitives to collect them.
I'm
for
saying,
the not killing.
Is there a collective of Force sensitive people that
On their own, elsewhere.
that Kylo would be hunting?
Like whether it's involved with Rey or not.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking it would be involved with Rey, but I don't see.
I don't see Rey being involved in it so much.
You don't see her as a teacher?
Well, I just don't. That's going to be a big time jump for her to even have a handle on stuff to even be trying to help others. I think.
Yeah, maybe.
Unless there is some collective that they find or found in the meantime of like, since last time, Force sensitives found each other and now they're a happy family, but Kylo's on his way. I don't know.
I mean, that feels like how the last two movies have been kind of set up. That kind of stuff. I mean, where you're just kind of thrown into something and
but that's a big something to throw into, I think.
You think so?
I think it's too big to throw into unless there's a really big time jump for some reason.
Because if you go with the premise that the Force did kind of reawaken with 7, right, that it was dormant for a little while and it's kind of, it got a kickstart for whatever reason.
That's something I want to talk about too.
That
eventually,
that there could be, I mean, at the same time, let's say, we've talked about before, just like turning the camera to a different spot.
Yeah.
Like just meanwhile, all these, main events with the main characters have been happening, but then all this other stuff is happening in parallel. Do you think there are other Force sensitive people that were awoken like Rey? I think that would be.
I have a whole thing to talk about that.
Okay.
With Rey awakening, which I guess we can get to now.
She's not a man, and thus it's wrong.
Yes.
So anyway,
so just wrapping that up with the Knights of Ren returning, possibly, I think that's a good story plot for them to return to. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But also that leads to people were talking about the vision Rey had when she first found Luke's lightsaber. That may be the future. Like she saw the future in what is now happening in episode 9 of them hunting down Force sensitives.
So it's not. She wasn't seeing a vision of them killing the apprentices at Luke's temple.
I don't think he would have had the knights at that point, which we still don't know because no one will tell us anything about them.
That's true. I mean, we were kind of guessing that that's where the knights came from, is when Ben escaped, or after after that whole thing with Luke went down and he escaped. He took some students with him, like Luke said, and they eventually became the Knights of Ren.
Right, but they wouldn't have been all
right
dressed up in their outfits and all that.
Right.
So it leads to possibly being a future vision of them now hunting down Force sensitives and all the bodies, laying around them.
Yeah.
Which again would help to fuel this theory of that happening in this film of them hunting down the Force sensitives, which I think would be actually a great plot. I don't know, to drive the rest of the film. Yeah,
'cause we were trying to think of what besides
it can't still just be a giant space car chase that the first two films were.
You think that's what the first film was?
Kind of. I mean, he's been the Resistance has been chased the entire time. Basically, it's been mostly a chase, right?
Yeah.
At this point, the chase has to. I mean, they caught up and they kind of both kicked the crap out of each other.
Yeah.
They kind of came to a stalemate and got away.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's going to be a time jump, there's going to be rebuilding on both sides, and the chase has to have stopped. And now it's strategizing how to get to the other and what to do about them. Yeah. I think Kylo's biggest thing and to get to them is just to take out anyone else that could be a threat. Because he may still be butthurt about Rey and not wanting to, I don't know, afraid to confront her because she's possibly stronger than him, or afraid to confront her because he doesn't know if he can, just because of their connection thing.
Yeah, I would say more that he's just angry at this point. Well, because not only
what isn't he? When isn't he just angry?
But I mean, even more so now because he was spurned by Rey, and Luke trolled him at the very
Right.
end. And
Made him look like a giant idiot.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Just made him look like a fool in front of all his friends.
Yeah.
He's got all his buddies behind him watching him trying to be a badass, and Luke just makes him look like a huge idiot that he is.
Yeah. Made him look like a child that doesn't know what he's doing.
Right.
Which is exactly what
He is.
what needed to happen.
Right.
Right. So, and we've talked about it before, but that's still going to be there. I don't see that changing in Kylo.
What, the anger?
The childish anger. I don't think
Oh.
I don't see him having grown past that.
No, yeah, right.
yet.
That's what I'm saying. I think it would be less fear of doing things and more just being driven by this blind anger of just, I need to just get rid of whoever's in my way.
Right.
So
Which
if
makes
that's
sense.
right, which is why this whole idea, to me anyway, the whole idea of hunting down Jedi or hunting down Force sensitives, not Jedi.
Yeah.
Kind of makes sense.
Yeah, for his character.
Yeah. And the other thing too is we talked about
emotional needs.
we've talked about before, like what's the driving thing for the First Order now? I mean, if the Resistance is so
Listening to Kylo.
the Resistance can't possibly be a threat, at least in their eyes, right? Anymore. I mean, they destroyed their base.
I mean,
they destroyed
depends on what force responded to their SOS. How many systems or planets came together to help them. In this time jump, they may have rebuilt fairly well.
I would say, and I think we might have said this before, I would say that at this point, if there is a time jump, the First Order is going to be established. Like, it's going to be close to Empire level.
And the thing is they already kind of were at this point, too.
I guess.
On a lot of planets. Or starting to be.
I guess so.
But the Republic,
I always got the impression that they were
wasn't
more
doing
fledgling.
anything about it, really.
Well, yes, that's the thing. At least in Force Awakens, that time period, I always felt like the First Order was a threat to the Republic, but not enough not enough to challenge the Republic's authority across systems.
Yeah,
not to the point where they would have to address it.
Yeah,
you know, like a threat
but now
to their existence.
But now they will be actually established and.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like at this point, if there is going to be a time jump, I think they're going to be more established and kind of the rule of law across the galaxy.
With Hux in charge of all of that. And then Kylo.
So now what's their goal? Just to keep that status quo, or?
Well, Hux is afraid of Kylo.
Or go after these Force sensitive people.
Because Hux is a little baby worm.
Right.
And Kylo is a little baby bitch.
Yeah.
And they're both just. Hux will just cower in fear at Kylo, like his father before him, at anyone stronger than him.
Mm-hmm.
So Hux will be all big man in charge of the First Order, but whenever Kylo's around, he's like, "Hey, don't hit me!"
Right,
right. So I think the First Order just does whatever Kylo wants because he might slap Daddy. Right.
Okay.
I mean, isn't that pretty much the relationship?
I guess. There? I mean, that's kind of the relationship. I don't think that's how it works, but okay.
I mean, even. That was how Hux's dad responded. That's how Hux #1 responded to anything.
Well, yeah,
we're like, I'm fancy. Oh, don't hit me.
Oh, well, yeah, I agree with the Hux part of it. I'm just saying.
But so Kylo is
the First Order is going to do whatever their leader orders them to do.
Yeah, because he has established himself as Supreme Leader now.
That's Kylo. Yeah,
he's now Supreme Leader because he might slap Hux, so Hux is doing whatever he wants.
I guess. So, yeah.
Whereas before they were somewhat equals. And he would go bitch to Daddy Snoke about Kylo, and Kylo would walk in, and he'd be like, I didn't say anything to Daddy, I didn't do it.
The left hand and the right hand, kind of.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, no, I didn't say, you're great, fantastic, okay, bye. I mean, that's the relationship. So now that the one that can actually, now that Kylo has no reign, there's no reins on Kylo now.
Mm-hmm.
Hux is just gonna obey him because he is now the Supreme Leader and he might hurt him.
Yeah. So
that's kind of just how that relationship works. And now Kylo has power that no child should have. He's, the child emperor that's, doing whatever he wants, and it's Silly Hat Wednesday. Do it or I'll kill you. And that's just what I picture. That's what I picture happening.
Such a petty thing to kill somebody over.
Well,
Silly Hat Wednesday? You think they would just
we're very
just
serious
relax a
about
little
hats
bit.
here. So that's
it's like a TGI Fridays.
so yeah, it's just the kid with too much power. That's
Yeah.
what Kylo's doing, and
Yeah.
it's weird because it's almost like I think there needs to be in the time jump. There needs to be some maturity
I was just gonna
in
say
both
yeah.
Rey and Kylo.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that Kylo is probably gonna grow up a little.
I don't know. He may be more outwardly mature, but still like totally unconfident in his choices.
Maybe.
Do
you think he's gonna?
Or he's confident, but his choices are still shit because he doesn't know what he's doing at all.
He has to kill Leia, right? I mean, we've already made this bet. That
Probably.
I think she's gonna die. You don't think she's going to, right?
No,
Or
I was
have you
just saying
changed
it's
your mind?
possible.
Oh.
It is highly possible that she just does not die, which would be weird, super weird. I'm not saying it would be not strange, but I mean they could, depending on what they've shot, she could just live through the films.
Because I think she's going to die. I'm wondering if Kylo has to be the one to kill her, right?
If
that
she
happens,
dies, yes, I would say so. If he even goes full evil, I mean, if he doesn't get turned, I don't know if that's possible by this point.
Because I think if we're talking about him having some level of maturity, I think the final line for him would be killing Leia. Because that was the one thing that he couldn't do.
Yeah, and then the darkness is
fully
taking hold.
consumes him at that point. Right, exactly. I think that's the one thing he couldn't do in Last Jedi.
Yep.
And the thing that he started in Force Awakens by killing Han.
Yeah.
So
I think so.
I think it's if him maturing makes sense because I think that's what's going to happen between him and Leia, and then that would be like you're saying, that would be the final test, I guess.
Yeah.
Of his commitment to this, way of life, his emo lifestyle. Yeah.
So in talking about him and his darkness and Rey being awakened, I've seen some people talk about it, and I've had some friends talk to me about it. And I don't know. I think it's something that may be addressed, possibly will be addressed, is so up to this point, up to The Force Awakens, whatever was happening with Luke, and he had his whole deal, and then Snoke happened with whatever happened there, because we just still don't have a lot of details about what actually took place, right?
Luke had his whole deal? What do you mean?
His temple with his students,
and
all that, and then
Snoke somehow
did
got
whatever,
involved.
and then Kylo had a bad dream, and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then there's just like this awakening in Rey, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know if she's always had these feelings, and from The Last Jedi, I guess we kind of get that she always felt there was something different.
Yes.
Just always.
Yeah.
And then you see people like Temiri Blagg, who he's just like using the Force on a broom because he's just always had this innate thing about him that's to him it's not unusual because he just it's not like holy shit I got a broom, like it's normal because that's just how he is.
Yeah.
But Snoke very clearly, states that there's been an awakening. Can you feel it?
Right.
And I don't know how to start this conversation. So Kylo, so the Force is course correcting, right? That's the awakening. Is the Force is trying to bring balance through its own means, right? That's
Would
my
you
assumption.
say it's imbalanced because of
what happened
Kylo?
with Kylo? I think it became it skewed the Force, creating an imbalance, and it's having to course correct by awakening, giving realization. I don't know. I think Rey was the course correction of the Force.
That's an interesting idea. I've never thought of it that way.
Whereas I've seen others talking about possibly that. So Snoke creates this bond between Kylo and Rey.
Yes, to manipulate them.
To manipulate them.
At least that's what he says. Yeah.
Right. And
But do you think the Force allows that on purpose or
well,
makes
so
that
so
possible?
in this other theory of it not just being the Force, but it actually being Snoke's fault, that Snoke split Kylo's light and dark side, and the light side that he split created this connection with Rey. The light side from Kylo is actually Rey has Kylo's light side, and that's what created this connection. Maybe Kylo just maybe Snoke just like whatever. And it's a weird theory, but I've had a friend talk to me about it, Daniel, as well as I've seen it mentioned elsewhere, partially, in that like Snoke created this bond by splitting Kylo's like by almost like
When?
yeah, exactly. That I mean that we don't when did that bond between Kylo and Rey start? Was it in The Last Jedi or has it been there? Because in The Force Awakens, you've got Kylo, and of course they probably didn't have the story figured out at that point, but Kylo is like, what girl when they
Right.
mention a girl. So it's almost like he already had possible knowledge or bond with someone else with her possibly.
Hmm.
And that Snoke created that bond either intentionally but unintentionally, that it happened to be Rey that got the light side, that the correction of removing his light side went to Rey, or he just sent it off into the middle of nowhere hoping that that'll never be a
So
problem.
this is a Ghostbusters scenario where the spirit comes out of a body and goes into somebody else.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, and then it blows a Ghostbuster.
Right.
Right. So
okay, well, so my theory on Rey and Kylo, or the link at least, has always been the Force allowed that to happen in a way. Like, yeah, Snoke created that link to manipulate them, but the Force allowed the connection to persist.
Right.
Because there was some destiny that had to be accomplished through that, right?
Right.
Hence, like Kylo doubting himself, kind of being pulled towards the light. And granted, that we talked about before, they both kind of were using the future, their like really cloudy version of the future that they thought they saw, to manipulate each other.
Right.
So it wasn't like their intentions were pure or anything, or not even Rey's intentions were probably pure.
Yeah.
But my thought was that, yeah, the Force kind of allowed that connection to persist in order to fulfill each of their destiny.
Yeah.
That it wasn't necessarily a Snoke being an all-powerful Force master. And,
right. I don't think the awakening was Snoke creating that bond.
Right. I think Snoke is just as much of a at the mercy of the Force as anybody else is.
Right. And that's until I started having this conversation and thinking about it more is when I started thinking, okay, there's the Force Awakened and the name of the film and Snoke said it and all that. And I guess I really never thought about why it awakened, other than it. I mean, the Force has always tried to find balance.
Yeah.
And balance itself through the Jedi, through the Sith, through whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, and even in like the Clone Wars show, you've got where you see they go to the Force planet, and you've got like the Daddy Force and the brother and the sister.
Yeah.
And I guess there is that balance, like we talked before, where you've got the brother who's the dark side and the sister who's the light side, and then the father's kind of like the mix of both of them, where it's this middle ground. This, you don't want to say gray because people will shit themselves. It's this this balance of the Force where, like we've talked before, where the Jedi were trying to be too goody, and the Sith are like way the opposite direction,
right?
And there has to be this middle ground of like, yeah, you can have emotions and not give into them and do the right thing, but pull from your emotions to do good instead of just be good, don't feel about anything. Whereas the other way is like just feel, let your hate and your feelings guide everything you do. And I think with whatever happened with Luke, and I guess obviously it had been a while by the time The Force Awakens happened, where Kylo was had been doing a lot of stuff, and I guess to me it makes sense that the Force itself was like, well, shit, this is going a bad direction now. It's not getting better, and trying to course correct itself to find balance by either awakening things in various people, just in general, to start an uprising, or Rey being a central focus of awakening because it saw that she would bring that balance through the actions that it foretold.
So you're saying that it wasn't necessarily like a destiny isn't playing out, that like a predetermined destiny isn't playing out. It's more of a reacting to people manipulating the Force.
It's, I guess, not predetermined, but the Force, it's like that weird omniscient thing of like the Force understanding that there's a problem and correcting it by knowing who to be the one to correct it.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Like seeing that, with Keanu learning Kung Fu in the Matrix.
Yeah.
It's just something that's like flipping through and it's like her all, like, it's like Doctor Strange seeing all the possible futures, the Force seeing like all the possible futures, like as it flips through everything in the universe. It's like this is the one that has a blip that if she is awakened further and has the opportunity, she will correct this or bring balance.
Right.
And the Force itself guiding all of this.
I think so. Yeah, I think
which makes sense to me.
I think that's right. Yeah.
Just the whole and how futile just all everything is I hope that is brought up in this. I started all this saying I hope that that bond and the awakening, I hope with JJ starting it in 7, I hope there was an idea behind all of that
behind the Force Awakening, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
And Kylo saying what girl, and I assume with all of that happening, JJ had an idea, but he didn't obviously get to play it out. But he started with an idea for why those were happening, unless he was just like, let me throw this here and this here and hope that they can do something with it. I assume he had an idea because he seems to be one that would.
Yeah, we would hope so.
And him having the opportunity to finish it up, I hope that stuff is readdressed.
Yeah.
The Awakening specifically, because
Well, see, what's interesting about the Awakening, though, is Snoke. I mean, I don't know. You could say that it happened before The Force Awakens, but Snoke doesn't bring it up until right then.
Yeah, it was like suddenly, like, there's been an awakening. Have you felt it? Like, there has been one. Like it's
like
something.
now,
Something's going on right now. Like you felt that, right?
Right.
So, and it's Rey has, and in episode 8 at least, Rey was. It was very clear that Rey had always had these feelings of something was different with her, and I want to understand like where I came from, and
right.
Why do I feel this way? All that conversation with Luke. So it's not like the Force was just like, hey, wake up, you got the Force now. She didn't suddenly take the red pill and was like realizing what the world is about with the Force.
I'm wondering if it's not I'm wondering if it's not a thing of the Force has been dormant this whole time, and more of a thing that Rey maybe realized something then, and there was like a connection to her destiny that happened that sent kind of a ripple out in the
because Force. the Force needed their course correct, possibly.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if that plays into it or not, because I'm trying to think of the timing in the movie.
Because I want to say, like with Luke and everything, and him trying to do his thing, that a balance had been found, right? That there had been a balance in the Force up to that point.
Maybe.
Where either through Luke not understanding what he's doing, or from him being better at it, because it's not what the Jedi didn't really understand what they were doing, and that he found a way to try to make it better. Or he was trying to, but then even he slipped, and that caused this trickle down effect of everything going to shit really quickly.
Yeah.
But Snoke had a hand in that and helping that along. And when that happened, that started skewing the Force unbalanced.
I agree
right?
with that part of it.
And then so Rey awakening to that destiny, or realizing it all of a sudden, was part of the Force. I don't know, giving her a nudge.
I think so.
Right?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that it was like a Rey realized something, and then all of a sudden, I don't know, the Force as a whole was like, "Oh, yeah, that's good. Let's go with that."
Yeah, it wasn't that I know kung fu all of a sudden. Like she just
Right.
woke up and was like, I
Yeah,
can
right.
do anything. I'm Mary Sue, as everyone wants to think she did.
Um,
But
I could see, yeah, I could see
I can see the Force like nudging her, like you've had this feeling. Hey, look at the feeling.
look at the feeling.
Right, like it's suddenly like I don't know. She suddenly had this inner strange feeling of like understanding,
Right.
and then had all this, and then just like this experience plopped into her lap of getting taken by Kylo and being able to fight his Force probing into her mind, and
Yeah.
even being able to fight out of kind of almost seemingly out of nowhere. Like
I'm wondering. I know this. I know that quote from Snoke was before the scene, but I'm wondering if when Rey gets the lightsaber and has the vision, if maybe that was when that was what Snoke felt.
like
Like
almost
the-
like
like
the
that was
future,
the
like
moment-
the future feeling of like something's happening.
Yeah, like
Have you
that.
felt it?
That was the moment Rey really connected with the Force and realized her destiny and realized this is she's part of something bigger and,
Yeah,
and
it's
all that stuff.
That swirly cloud of the future that the Force gives you, that he suddenly felt like shit, something's gonna happen.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe it was a premonition of that. Maybe there was just some like fudge timing, editing wise. You
Wow.
know,
Could be.
it's weird to think of this in universe and out of universe as a movie.
Well, yeah. But I mean, if you think about it, in universe of Luke realizing something was going on with his friends, but like he knew something bad was happening with his friends while he was on Dagobah.
You're talking Empire now, right?
Yeah, an Empire. I guess he felt that after they were captured, right? By Vader.
It was about the same amount of time,
About
right?
around the same amount of time.
Yeah.
Obviously, given time across the universe between planets and all of that.
Right.
But even then, it was like even like Yoda and Luke having like the future, like the future, Yoda telling him how the future is cloudy and
Yeah. Right.
and but having like this premonition, almost feeling of something bad's going to happen if I don't go help them. But the same thing, like almost with Snoke, like, oh shit, something good's gonna happen if something good is happening. Like him having that premonition feeling of like something is going to happen. Something has awakened that is now causing this string of events. Have you
Maybe.
felt it?
Yeah, I mean, to me, that's the only thing in the movie that would make sense.
I don't think there was like a hard awakening. Like Rey didn't wake up and was suddenly Mary Sue of the universe.
Well, I would say if there was a moment in that movie, it was that moment where she
Having that
got the saber.
experience.
Yeah,
Right.
and had the vision. I mean,
But then she denied the saber anyways. But she's still
well, yeah, that was just a fearful reaction to all that.
her
I'm sure,
innate
but
ability at least was heightened. I think after that point.
yeah, that connection was made. The connection to something that was bigger than she was.
Right.
I mean, and you even have the quote from Obi-Wan in there about you're taking your first steps.
Right.
So that's what makes me think if it's
She opened her heart to the Force.
yeah,
And let it in.
yeah, basically, yeah.
Right. So yeah, I just until I started talking about it and thinking about it this past week, that I wonder if they're going to address the awakening and the connection in this movie, and or if it's just like, yeah, it happened and we're done with that, or if
Yeah.
there will be like a resolution to like what actually happened, what was the awakening, and
I see the
what's
awakening.
the tie, what's the actual tie between them?
Well, yeah.
If not just Snoke.
I think that's two separate things. I think the awakening and the link are two completely separate events in the Force.
Could be. I mean, possibly, yes.
That, like I was saying, the Snoke set up a link to manipulate them, but maybe it's less of a he did something that affected Rey directly, like
Mhm.
or affected Kylo directly, where he split his dark and light side or whatever it was.
Right.
Maybe something less direct, but more like this manipulation that he caused, this link he created, actually.
The Force there was a loophole in that situation that it used to.
Yeah, like he accidentally created something that persisted between them, you know?
Yeah.
Because I guess, like you're saying, there was that what girl moment in Force Awakens where this could be something that they were already
Loosely
predetermined,
linked, but not, like the Force had
to
already
have.
linked them
Yeah.
and their destiny.
Right, for some reason.
For whatever reason, whether
And people are trying to say that link is because of lineage, which I don't necessarily. You could say that's the case, sure, that's possible, but I think it's more powerful to say that this is just the Force, like you're saying, course correcting things,
Right,
and trying to bring that balance again.
And I mean, as much as this is the wrapping up of the Skywalker saga, and they're kind of obviously they're trying to, at least with the Last Jedi, they're almost panning away from the Skywalker saga, where it's never really been about them. Somewhat, as much as people don't want to think, at least to me, like the Skywalkers have been involved in this huge long saga, right?
I think it's more about the balance of the Force, that the Skywalkers have been so entwined in the balance of the Force over the course of history.
Right, exactly, and that's what I'm saying. Where it's almost like panning
the
away
Skywalker
to like
saga because
they've been
of that.
involved, but it's almost like this futile, like this futility of the Force just waxing and waning and ebbing and flowing, and there's peaks and there's valleys, and
yeah,
it's always in turmoil trying to find balance. When there isn't balance, it does something to course correct and create balance again.
Yeah,
and at least to me, that is a like a horrible and beautiful way to like wrap it up. Of like, this is never going to end. Like
that it may not be may not be the Skywalkers in the future. It could be a different.
It can be. It can and will be anyone.
Yeah.
That as the Force flows.
Yeah.
And corrects itself, the Skywalkers were involved this entire time. And it's going to find some sort of, and maybe it will lead to the final balance in this film of the Force. And there doesn't need to be any more about the Jedi and everything else or the Force from here on out.
Yeah.
And people just have the Force, and we don't really need to focus on that battle.
Yeah.
Between sides, as much as people like it. But I think it would be like a tragic truth to like reveal that would totally make like so many people angry, right? Which is like, it's a bullshit answer. But to me, it's like this just like horrible, brutal, like beautiful reality of like the shit has been going on forever and will continue to.
Right.
But this has been their story.
That it's goofy to think that the Skywalkers were the cause of all this.
Right.
But no, this is actually a much bigger picture, and they were just a thread in this.
Yeah, because we even got with like Anakin of like the misunderstood chosen one, like myth.
Yeah.
Of the chosen one, and them bringing balance and their understanding of what that even meant, of being able to bring balance, and them not even understanding that, and like Anakin obviously wasn't, well, through one way or another he brought some kind of balance, but not the balance they wanted, because there's no pretty balance, I guess.
Well, they were too proud to consider the fact that they could be
causing the imbalance, or helping to cause an imbalance,
right?
So yeah, that weird thread of Kylo and Rey being connected and having a Force connection and being the light and dark side, and the Force redirecting itself, just got me on that huge tangent of like, it would be a very sad truth to realize that this all like
this is going to go on forever,
right?
Yeah.
Which again, it's a.
I hope we get some kind of an
closure
ending like that.
There needs to be some kind of closure.
You're gonna have closure for the Skywalkers,
right? But it's a very shitty for people that are already shitting on the films, which they don't need to pander to people shitting on the films already, because the shitty people shit. Shitty people will continue shitting on the shitty things that they shit about. But I think that people would be even more angry. But like, what the hell? This is how you ended? all of my childhood for this?
I think that'd be a great ending.
Yeah, I think it would be very, very.
I think
a very stark, beautiful reality of like, okay, just like one of those endings of a movie where you're just gonna sit there and I'm like, oh yeah, I guess that's, all right.
I could very easily see Rey being that kind of gray force, quote unquote, of this, connection to both dark and light, and Kylo going away,
Right.
and there being a balance at the end. Or even, let's say that's another way. Let's say Kylo crosses over. I don't know.
They
I don't know.
find balance together.
I can see the Skywalker saga coming to an end in that, Luke officially passes the torch to whoever.
By
Rey
finally
or-
understanding what is meant by the term balance, maybe.
Maybe,
Like
yeah.
that's the closure to the Skywalker saga,
Yeah.
is finally understanding what balance is.
But then also ending with like you're saying, ending with a look towards the future of this pattern in the Force is going to continue. It's going to happen with some other people are going to be linked to this,
Right.
and be intertwined with this journey, but it's going to go on forever, and there's no way.
All we can do is do our best to
Be along for the ride.
do
yeah.
our best to try to keep it balanced.
Yeah.
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 Which
Be one with the Force, and you'll be in balance. Yeah.
right.
You'll be balanced.
So get JJ on the phone because we've got good ideas now that they're already shooting.
Yeah, I would love to see something like that.
I don't know why I'd never thought about that whole thread before until now.
Yeah.
The connection and the Force correcting itself. But I hope that is addressed, and I hope there's some explanation.
Mainly, I hope it's deeper than we'll see new adventures with your heroes, Rey, Finn, and Poe next time.
Right.
Da, 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 da. Yeah. I want something
Yeah.
deeper than that,
Right. Yeah, like something emotionally heavy.
Right.
Right. Hopefully. I'm done talking.
This has been another episode of Hokey Religion.
Another episode of I'm Done Talking.
The podcast is called I'm Done Talking.
Right.
Because we already start off that way.
Right. Oh, as always, if you enjoy the show, please go to iTunes or wherever they allow you to say words about the shows you listen to. And
Amazon.
give
Yelp.
us sure.
Do you
Give
ever
us-
end up on Yelp?
Can
Can you put your address on Yelp and
I don't know.
have the podcast?
Then we can buy reviews.
Wow. We can
Yeah.
do that now
So
with iTunes. Though.
leave us stars and review words as you deem appropriate. You can find us on Twitter at Hokey_religion. You can find
Hashtag
us,
hooray men.
Hashtag hooray men.
Hashtag shitty people shit.
Is this really a time period where we should be hashtagging hooray men? Is that a good message
That's why it's so funny.
right now?
It's so funny because it's so terrible. It's such a terrible out of context thing for right now.
It really is.
Hashtag hooray men. Please
Oh,
hashtag hooray
Jesus.
men.
Oh.
And get us flagged on everything.
Twitter doesn't flag anyone.
Oh, that's right. They love those people.
Right. You can find us on Facebook and YouTube and all of the places that sounds are produced.
Tumblr. Your
Yep,
mom.
she may have heard of us.
Your mom's on Tumblr.
You can also go to patreon.com/hokeyreligion, and if you really like the show, you can patronize us with your funds that will support the show and help us to continue making the show as good as this. Wink.
Wowee.
Um,
Have you enjoyed this as much as I have?
for 3 years.
Because boy, do we have a deal for you.
If you want to send us an email or whatever, you can shoot an email to
Or whatever.
If you want to send us
A potato. Send an email to
photos of your potatoes, can go to asklobot@hokeyreligion.com.
please send us tweets of your potatoes with hashtag hooray men.
The weirdest thing that would ever be trending is hooray men, and it's just a bunch of
I
potatoes.
promise we will retweet every single one of
Just a
them.
bunch of pictures of
I
potatoes.
promise. Send us a picture of a potato with hashtag hooray men, and we will retweet.
This is what we're doing with our lives after 3 years of this. It's asking you to tweet pictures of potatoes with the hashtag that
Hooray
is
men.
currently culturally inappropriate. Good luck.
They have to listen to the very, very end of the
Right.
latest episode.
We'll know if you heard the whole episode if you tweet us a picture of a potato with the hashtag Hooray
Everyone
I
tunes
think I
out by,
said
like-
all of the things that are about us.
Yep.
I don't
We've
think
been-
there's any more.
I think that's all of us.
And I've got nothing else to give after 3 years. All right, I'm done. This is Tyler.
This is Michael.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Hokey religion is an ancient weapon. Hokey religion is an ancient weapon, so no magic for a good blast here, true said.